character. So I find that is a difficult thing to do as far as instead of writing just narrative. My first novel is actually all emails. The entire book is emails. And what was so difficult about that, and you can imagine it because you read a lot of emails, developing character and developing situations through a series of emails. I found that very difficult to do, and that book happened to have won the International Book Award, probably because the judges recognized that I was able to communicate the character development and the situation development and the change, how the characters changed and how the story developed, all with emails, and how I was able to make the story flow through those emails. So yeah, the novels are definitely more difficult than the nonfiction books.
Mike, can we take a minute now to share your information with our audience so that they will know how to reach you if they choose to?
Sure. My name is Michael Sisti, and the last name is S-I-S, S as in Sam, S-I-S-T-I. My email address is michaelsisti@comcast.net. My website is michaelsisti.com. My phone number is 941-302-4421. That's a cell number. I can get text messages as well as phone calls from that. I am on Amazon. You can find my books on Amazon, so you can reach me there. And my books are also listed on Goodreads.
Mike, I'm a voracious reader. I've been reading since I was 3 years old. My mother taught me to read. Unfortunately, my house, we had no books, so I had to read whatever the Jehovah's Witnesses would drop by and leave. That was my reading material for a long time. And then when I got to high school, well, by the age of 8, I was already reading newspapers. I would sit with my uncle, who was really old, and we would share the newspaper. But in the years, like I could tell you right now, I could probably read a novel in a night. So in a week, I would read 2 or 3, probably more books, but I have like 10 of them that I'm here and there and everywhere, but I can remember where I'm at. It's interesting. I've never seen any of your books, so I'm going to have to search and get them so that I can read some of your material. The failure myth sounds really interesting. It sounds like something I would benefit from.
Oh, absolutely. Do you read on a Kindle or do you read the actual book?
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah. Do you read on a Kindle or on a reader?
No,
or
I
do
actually
you read the
books,
actual book.
Because
you like to read the book.
I find electronics a little bit difficult. I grew up with the paper method, so most of what I do, I actually am afraid of technology. So I'm getting more into it, but now I like to turn the page in the book. So I read real books.
Yeah, I do both. I read novels on an iPad as well as read the book themselves. I like both. But yeah, we'll have to get you a copy of The Failure Myth. It's a very short book, but it's quite a good book.
Okay. One of the things I want to ask you as we close, we have a couple more minutes, but what would be the one thing you want our listeners to take away from your interview today?
The thing I tell people, and it has an indirect effect on their business, on their lives. And I had mentioned this in the previous interview. My focus in life is having fun. I find joy in everything that happens. And I learned this at a very, very early age when I was just a kid in grammar school. Because classwork can be, very boring, sitting in a class for 6 hours a day. And so I tried to make it fun, even though the nuns would rap my knuckles for speaking out in class. But I, I enjoyed doing it, and despite the reprimand, the teachers enjoyed it as well. But when I have to do a difficult task, and we all have to do lots of difficult tasks, I find a way to make it fun. I find a way to make it more interesting, and that makes the task become easier. It gets completed faster, and it's much more enjoyable. So as a result of that focus, everything I do, I see humor in everything. I mean, I stop and talk to people when I encounter them, and there are just so many humorous things happening all around us. And so it also helps my writing because my humor books are actual situations that I've encountered. And even the blog on my website is always situations that I've encountered that I see the humor in them. And when I explain it, then people get the humor, and it kind of gets them thinking a little bit different, thinking a little more creatively. And when you start seeing humor in everything, then life is so much more rewarding. I think success comes easier if you have a sense of humor, rather than if you sit in your office wringing your hands, wondering what are you going to do next. There's always a bright side. There's always a way to find enjoyment. And so I have a very satisfying life because whether I'm making money or not, and I've had my tragedies in business. I've had bankruptcies. I've had business failures. We've been absolutely broke, but we're still here, and we live in a nice house, and we've find a way to recover and keep going. And we have a sense of humor. My wife and I just enjoy each other and enjoy life, whether or not we have any money to spend. So that's my message. It's a simple message, but people that start to look at life that way are going to be so much happier.
Okay. We want to thank you for joining us for these 2 episodes of Jadoo Lifestyle. We want to thank you for your time and your wisdom, your information. We're going to leave it so that our listeners, I hope that they find some interest and they reach out to you. And again, to our listeners, I want to thank you for listening to Jadoo Lifestyles podcasts. And if you have any questions, you can contact us through societybitesradio.com, Society, SOCIETYBYTES, radio, RADIO.com. You can find Jadoo Lifestyle under the learning section or under the health section. And if you would like to be an advertiser or a guest on our show, please reach out to us. You can reach me at Toddy Jadoo, TODDYJADOO @gmail.com. If you would like to email me personally, that's where you can reach me. So once again, we want to thank our listeners for listening to us. And remember, Jadoo Lifestyle, it's where you have a life and you live it too. So once again, Mike, I want to thank you for being with us today, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your time with us. And we wish you luck and blessings in everything that you choose to endeavor and to do. And your book, we hope it becomes the bestseller that you want it to be.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed being on the show. I think it was as much fun for me or more fun for me as it was for you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to maintaining communication with you.
Yes. So thank you, listeners, for joining us again, and please join us for another episode of Jadoo Lifestyles.